Bernini, in many ways, is to the 17th century what Michelangelo had been in the 16th century. And he certainly was the best interpreter of the wishes of the popes.
Art historian Alexandra Massini has brought me to see the sculpture that Bernini considered his masterpiece. It's called The Ecstasy of Saint Teresa. Tell me about this piece. I mean, this is extraordinary.
Well, this is really a very intense religious experience that is described by Saint Teresa. But, you know, if I read out her own words and you see the sculpture that goes along with it, I think there's little ambiguity as to what exactly is happening. And so let me just read this. I saw that he had a long golden dart in his hand, and she's referring to this angel that she sees appearing. I thought that he pierced my heart with this dart several times, and in such a manner that it went through my very bowels. And when he drew it out, it seemed as if my bowels came with it, and I remained wholly inflamed with a great love of God. The pain thereof was so intense that it forced deep groans from me, but the sweetness which this extreme pain caused in me was so excessive that there was no desiring to be free from it. So I think this is a very graphic and very erotic rendering of an absolutely physical experience.
Now, this was very different from really what had gone before, because we're coming out of the counter-reformation, a strict time, a severe time, a time of a sort of moral crackdown, and suddenly we have this explosion of sensual extravagance, really.
The restraints of the counter-reformation are long gone by this stage, and what you're out to is really to draw in the viewer. And that's why you do things that are absolutely theatrical and absolutely dramatic. And that explains why you have such an erotic piece that ends up in a church where you would least expect it. The viewer thinks, a modern-day viewer would think, okay, this is something absolutely secular, what is it doing inside a church? But it is part, I think, of this emotional sensibility that people expected at the time, even inside a church, even from the faithful. It is part of the religious picture of the time.
Was this new sensibility of the Catholic Church, represented by the Baroque and Bernini, really also a way of competing with Protestantism?
It definitely was, yes. And I think that whereas the Protestants are really sticking to a literal reading of the Bible, here we have something totally different. It is, you reach God through the senses, through opening up your heart, through experiencing things to your bones, literally. And that's, I think, what makes this work of art so powerful.
You're saying the church can give you this.
Exactly. The church can give you this.
And that's
yes.
quite something.
Yes, indeed.
The church deployed every available weapon to win the battle of Christian souls.